All right, in this video, I'm going to take some time to go over what are idiomatic expressions, the worksheet that you'll be working on, as well as an assignment that I'll be giving you to do for next week. Idioms are potentially a poetic device that you may not have seen just yet, and it may be new for you this year. Idioms are a common expression where the implied meaning is typically understood. However, the literal meaning does not make sense. So what happened is an expression was used in some form of poetry, and it became very common. And so the meaning became understood, even though literally translated, it would not make sense. Two examples of this would be a slap on the wrist. And so what a slap on the wrist means is that the consequence was not as severe as it potentially should have been. Where a simple slap on the wrist doesn't hurt, a harsher punishment may have been preferred. And so we refer to the term, it was just a slap on the wrist, when we're actually disappointed in the consequence that somebody received. Another common expression is it's raining cats and dogs. Now, we know that it is not literally raining animals from the sky, but we also know and understand that that expression is used to mean that it is raining pretty heavily. And that is how an idiom is used. What I'm going to have you guys do this week, there is a worksheet called Idiom Worksheet in your team's file folder in poetry. I'd let you to open that up and try to figure out what the meanings are in context of the sentences and how they're used. You're free to do it individually. You can do it with some friends, or you can actually go over the phrases with family members. It's not important that you write it out. Just talk them through and then reference the answer key to make sure that you have a good understanding of the idioms that were found on the worksheet. And then what I'm going to have you do is a mini idiom project. Now, typically I had students do this on a poster paper and they would present in front of the class. But what we're going to do is we're going to do this project, and then you're going to be scheduled in on a team meeting conference call. And then with that small group of potentially 4, 5, or 6 people, you're going to share the idiom that you found. So what the project asks you to do is to find an interesting idiom. I'm going to ask that you don't use any of the expressions that were in the worksheet, nor any that were discussed in this lesson. You're going to explain the meaning and origin of the idiom, so where it came from and what it means now. And then finally, give an example of the idiom in context. So how would it be used? Use it in a sentence. An example of this would be the expression bought the farm. Now this means that somebody died. So it's an euphemism, so an understatement when somebody has died, and it often refers to death in battle or by a plane crash. Now the origins of this slang came from World War II, where pilots or servicemen in the war were eager to finish their deployment and return home and have enough money to buy property or own property. But unfortunately, those that died couldn't do that. And when they died, a insurance payout or military pension was given to the beneficiary or family members, and they could then buy property. And unfortunately, that property was potentially considered the land used for that serviceman's grave. So you would say, did you hear that old Walt bought the farm? And that would mean that he recently passed. So you're going to do this same thing as your own individual mini project. You have the week to come up with an interesting idiom. Try and find something that we haven't heard before so that we all learn something new, and then tell me the meaning of it and also the origin of where it first came from and how that kind of makes sense to be that idiom, and give us an example. Good luck. Don't forget to join any of the class meetings that will occur daily at 1 p.m. should you have any questions. It's always good to share our questions with others so we can learn from each other. And please don't hesitate to call me if you have any